Oh my gosh, we did the same hands. I don't like that. My name's Valerie Hu.
I'm Lia Sokol.
And I'm Vee Cipperman.
We're all first year spring admits, or FYSAs, at Cornell University.
So this is going to be just like a video kind of going through our own process as spring admits. This is just a lot of the things that I wish I had known, and just some information.
Just you, not us.
Just me. Things that I think a lot of other spring admits wish that they had known about the spring admit option.
There's very little information on YouTube about like what being a FYSA is, and there's a lot of mystery.
It was originally going to be just one video, but then it ended up being so long that it's going to be cut up into 4 parts. The second video, which is what you're watching right now, is how and why we eventually picked Cornell. I'll have some general information below so you have some context for what we're talking about in our experiences, but if you want to hear more in depth, please go watch the first video. It'll be linked right here. And then the links for the other 2 videos will be at the end once they're uploaded.
So we're going to talk a bit about our decision process. It was a very difficult decision to make. I was still deciding up through the fall. In April, I basically narrowed it down to my state school, a small liberal arts college, and Cornell. I got to visit all 3 of them. It's really hard to like understand a school after just sitting there for a day. I really like the atmosphere of like liberal arts colleges where it really feels like a community, but I, and also with some influence from my parents, thought that like the resources of a large research institution would be good to have, just in case like I realized, oh, I hate my major, or I want to do research, or oh, you know, whatever it might be. The short version that I tell people now is that Cornell combined the 2. It has that atmosphere of like a liberal arts college, and it also has the resources of like a much larger university. So the way that the spring admission works, you can commit to school for the fall, and then you can even decide to stay there. So I put down the deposit for Cornell, but then I also put down the deposit for my state school, and I really went in with the mindset of like, I think I might stay at my state school. So there are some benefits to that. It also makes that decision a lot harder when you actually get down to it. I found myself in December thinking, oh my god, like how am I going to leave these people? Do I really want to come to Cornell? And it was a very last minute like gut decision that I'm ultimately happy with.
Yeah, I had several colleges I was choosing between. A very, very small liberal arts school, a medium-ish sized school in New York City, and the last one was Cornell.
Big Red.
We go Big Red. What it really came down to for me was school size, community vibe, and location. I had a lot of reservations about Cornell. First of all, I was afraid that it might be too big for me. Second of all, I was afraid because it seemed super remote to me, and I like urban areas. The other thing that complicated matters was the fact that I have been admitted like regular come in the fall for the other 2 schools. I had doubts about doing a gap semester. When I came to admitted students day, I literally loved the 2 days I spent here. I loved all the classes that I sat in on more than you're supposed to.
Rebel really went and learned in her free time.
I had a lot of time talking to people. I went to a bunch of different restaurants in College Town. I never knew where anything was. I would always ask people for directions, and every single time I did that, people would like go out of their way to give me extra directions, be like, do you need any extra help? Like, welcome to Cornell, how do you like it so far? Like, it's a huge school, but I've always felt a interlaced community vibe. Like, we kind of all have each other's backs. In exploring Ithaca, while you're here, A, since the school itself is so gigantic, and B, since Ithaca is actually like a really nice, quirky college town, there's a ton of good restaurants and like stuff to do and like cool little music venues. Also, it's really easy to access like New York and other cities like that, and we actually have been up to different cities for weekends even within our first few weeks.
For discounted prices, thanks to Cornell.
So a Broadway show?
I felt like I could find a sense of belonging here.
I was also choosing between 3 schools. It was Cornell, a state school in California, and another private school that is smaller than Cornell, but
small school in
I mean, like
general area of the United States.
We are willing to talk about the specific schools we were choosing between, but thought it'd be better to keep it general and vague in the video. I'll leave our contact information down below if you want to reach out to us. It's really sad that like admitted students days, at least for 2020, are closed. I think without visiting, there's no way I would have chosen Cornell, and I feel like that would have been such a missed opportunity. So hopefully, like us talking about this can give you a little sense of what it's like to be here, especially like FYSA specifically.
Well, my admitted students day, like actual Cornell days experience,
So I did visit all 3 schools that I was considering. Time I came to Cornell, I cried the night before because I was like, even if I like Cornell, it doesn't matter because I don't want to be a spring admit, like it's so hard. It was difficult to be here because I felt like I already knew that I didn't want to come, and so it would be a waste of time. I got to sit in on a class that I wrote about in my Why I Want to Come to Cornell essay, which was Intro to Sociology. And it was with the same professor that I talked about, which was so cool. And it was this huge lecture hall of close to 300 people. She was calling on people by name. I was listening to students around discussing, and I was just like, wow, like this is where I want to be. Like, these are the types of conversations I want to be having. Like, people are so passionate about different things, and it's so interesting to talk to people. And now I'm in that Intro to Sociology class with the same professor. I told my mom I want to come to Cornell, like I'm 100% committed except for the spring admit thing. Visiting was great, went home, had to make the decision, didn't make the decision until April 30th. The decision is ultimately personal, but like getting their advice, so both my parents and my friend's advice was like so important to me. They know me better than I know myself. My mom and I also prayed about it a lot, talked about it a lot. My friends would tell me that even their parents were like, yeah, like this would be such a good opportunity for Valerie. I had a conversation with a friend that definitely profoundly impacted my decision. You can pause here and read it if you want. I had wanted to take a gap year, and I had made a promise to a friend to hold me to it that I would take some kind of gap after high school. This is dramatic and cheesy. The night before, my mom and I were like, okay, we're gonna like make it because this is April 29th, and we're like, okay, tomorrow I gotta make the decision, like sign the whatever. I was like, I'm certain, like I have a decision, and she was like, I'm certain too, like I know where like I think you should go. And I was like, if yours is different from mine, like I don't care, like I'm sticking with mine. And she was like, yeah, no, I agree. And so I was like, okay, do you want to say it on the count of 3? And so we did.
I can be your
You
mom.
want to be mine?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Cornell! And then I think we cried.
We're getting really up close and personal.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you. You're still here. Excited.
We're excited to meet you.
We're really hyped
Yay!
up.
Woo! We're so pumped.
Woo!
Bye.
Can we take